This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know. We follow up on context. We're going to do that a lot today and try to help each other understand all this crazy stuff.
Today, Victoria Song tells us about the Casio watch ring and some feedback from you.
I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Jenn Cutter.
Let's start with what you need to know in the big story. Amazon announced Alexa Plus. I'm trying not to set off your device. It is a more capable version of its voice assistant, available for $20 a month or, hold on, free if you already have Amazon Prime. So they're doing that free with Prime thing, at least for now. There will also be a website at alexa.com where you can do more long-form work. There's some demonstrations they did where you could upload stuff that might be capable of handling a little better. But there will also be a new app. But also, there will be a new app. So if you want to get Plus, you're probably going to have to keep an eye out for that. It will work on most recent Amazon devices, so probably not the first gen. They didn't detail exactly which ones. And it's going to roll out in waves over the coming months, starting in March. If you're an owner of an Echo Show, that's the one with the display, Model 8, 10, 15, and 21, you will be in the first wave of people to get it. And of course, Amazon helpfully noted that you could buy one of those devices if you don't have one and jump the line. Plus runs on AWS's Bedrock platform. That is a platform that lets any organization pay to experiment with multiple large language models. That includes Amazon's own Nova model, but also Anthropic, which Amazon is an investor in. And there are other models on there. So we don't know exactly which ones they're using for the new voice assistant, but they're using more than one. Amazon says it will choose the best model for any given task. When you talk to your voice assistant, you don't have to know which model it's going to choose, but it's going to know like, oh, this is the best for that. This is the best for that. Data partners include Time, the Associated Press, Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos, Reuters, and Politico, amongst others. So it's going to be pulling information from licensed partners that it's paying. It also integrates with multiple services. So yeah, obviously you can get your groceries delivered from Amazon Fresh through here, but also Uber Eats. They are partnering with Sonos, Wise, Zoom, Xbox, Plex, Dyson, Bose, Grubhub, Levoit, Ticketmaster, and of course, Amazon and Amazon Fresh. Once you use the wake word, you can carry on a conversation without having to repeat the wake word. That's something it can kind of do now, but it works all the time in the new version. It can also analyze images and scan documents for reference later. So if you're using it on your phone, you can take a picture. That includes handwritten notes, emails, photos, and more. Amazon demonstrated some agentic capabilities where you just tell it to do something and it goes and uses the different apps and websites it needs to make it happen. So it made dinner reservations. They had it read a student's study guide and then quiz the student to help them study. It could research a trip and create an itinerary for you. It ordered concert tickets. It can also create smart home routines. You just describe what it wants to do and it'll make the routine. It can also find music based on just kind of a vague description rather than a specific title. They showed that off. It can jump to a particular scene in a TV show or movie on Prime Video just based on your description. You're like, I want the one with the explosions and people walking away. Echo Shows get new widgets on their home screen. So that'll surface things like recipes, recent apps, weather, based on your use cases. And it will adapt based on how close you are to the screen. So if you're standing across the room, it'll just show some photos that you're sharing. But when you're close, it'll give you informational content that you can read because you're close up. Also works with Amazon's Ring cameras to answer questions about what happened in the house. The example they demonstrated here kind of made me laugh. They had the Ring, they asked the assistant to use the Ring camera video to tell if anyone took the dog out yesterday, which I have to say, you might know anyway if no one had taken the dog out. But it worked, so I get it. Amazon was supposed to launch this new assistant last year, but it wasn't ready yet. And in the interim, the company replaced its devices team head, Dave Limp, with Microsoft Surface head, Panos Panay, who conducted the demonstrations today. Looks like it was worth the wait. Everything worked well. The demo shows the ability to do a lot of things in voice mode. This is very similar to what you can do on ChatGPT, where you can just change your mind halfway through a sentence, get it to do things like text the babysitter, buy concert tickets, all that kind of stuff. if it works as well as the demos, Jen, I think Amazon has the advantage of being on a lot of people's devices already.
This is the first time I've seen one of these AI demos that actually feels like this is what people want from the future. You've got the thing. Now the thing can do this huge list of actual daily tasks, not hypothetical future things you are doing right now.
The devil's in the details, right? Because yes, the demonstrations were very impressive. And I believe they were live. And so you will be able to just talk to this thing in natural language. But what happens when you want to add it to the calendar and it doesn't work with your preferred calendar, right? What happens when you want to order groceries from Instacart? And it's like, well, we have Uber Eats and Amazon Fresh. Like it starts to get a little bit of friction there is the only alarm bell I could really see so far.
Yeah, I think a lot of, especially that kind of nitty gritty, is going to be regional. It's like, okay, what's available in your area that it talks to? I am a little suspicious of their claims about, oh yeah, we can jump to a song or a movie scene. I'm like, well, you guys kind of made the news about how off your AI descriptions of certain videos and shows were. So how do we trust you with a scene? I mean, the answers might be hilarious, so I will be searching for those.
Yeah. That is definitely one of those things where they demoed one that worked really well. And I'm sure if you do exactly that one, it's going to work really well. But when I ask it to play Le Seraphim's new album right now, it doesn't even know what I'm talking about. So, is it going to be able to understand all of that stuff? It's people with different tastes are going to have different experiences.
DTNS is made possible by you, the listener. Thanks to Larry Bailey, Michelle Sergiu, Kirk Stephenson, and our new patron, Ahmad.
Yay, new patron. Woo. There's a lot more going on we need to talk about, so let's get right to the briefs.
Israel's security company Lasso says that data from public GitHub repositories can show up in large language model outputs even after the repositories were made private. The right prompt has to be crafted, but if you work at it, you can make some of the data appear. Lasso discovered one of its own repositories had been accidentally public for a brief period of time, indexed by Bing, and now could show up in Copilot responses. Lasso found evidence that data from 20,000 repositories, now private or deleted, could be accessed through Copilot. They included code from Amazon, Google, IBM, Tencent, and even Microsoft itself. In slightly related news, Copilot's Think Deeper and voice models are now unlimited for all users, including free users.
Yeah, I put this on a yellow alert level for myself, which is the problem was that you had a repository that you made public and then it shouldn't have been public, right? So there's been some examples of confidential information in those repos. The problem is they should never have been indexed by a search engine to begin with. That's how they got into Copilot. Mm-hmm. So this is not one where I'm directly going to be like, Copilot should have never had this. Like, you should have never made it public. However, I think Lasso's doing a good job of pointing out that once stuff gets in there, it would be good if there's a mechanism for you to talk to Microsoft and say like, hey, this should have never made it into your search index. We not only want to make sure it's off of Bing, but we need it to be out of Copilot as well.
I understand why these companies are hesitant to include an opt-out. It's like when Microsoft had to roll back we capture everything on your screen in Windows 11 for our new tool, and everybody freaked out at them. So now that there's more awareness of this, hopefully there will be some opt-out things because, there's a lot of sensitive information on the internet and human error is going to human error. We're human. Some things are going to get misclicked and show up online.
Modular laptop maker Framework announced its first desktop PC. It's a mini ITX desktop form factor with AMD Ryzen AI Max processors, aka Strix Halo APU. It also has Radeon graphics. One thing about that is the Ryzen AI Max processors solder on the RAM. And in order to offer the benefits of those processors, like 256 gigabyte per second memory bandwidth, Framework had to agree to leave the RAM soldered on. They say they tried to figure this out in a way to make it more modular, and they just couldn't do it. But in exchange, it can do some pretty heavy gaming and AI inferencing. So if you're interested, you can pre-order now, starting at $1,099, shipping in Q3. Rest of everything in there is modular, just like Framework's normal behavior. Framework also announced a new 12-inch laptop for pre-order in April. That'll be shipping mid-year. And new modules for the 13-inch laptop, which also include AMD Ryzen AI 300 series chips, Wi-Fi 7, and more. Existing 13-inch Framework laptop owners can, of course, buy the new modules and upgrade to the new specs without having to buy a whole new laptop. All of those are shipping in April with the base 13-inch laptop configuration, if you're starting from scratch, starting at $899.
I love what they're doing. I'm hoping they're not spreading themselves too thin. Like, it is a first edition for this brand new thing, so there are always compromises. But I hope they're not going to start diversifying a little too much and losing their core model.
You hope that slope is not slippery.
Apple officially signed its agreement with Indonesia to invest more than $1 billion in the country. As a result, the Ministry for Industry will begin the process of issuing Apple its permit to sell the iPhone there. It has not been allowed to do so since October.
And I think, if I remember right, Indonesia is the third largest market for selling Apple devices. So that is one we've been keeping an eye on. One thing many folks don't realize is the limit on updating operating systems is often due to support from chip makers. If your chip doesn't support firmware beyond a certain date, it's really hard to have the operating system maker offer support, or the carrier. That's why Apple has an easier time offering longer support, because it makes the chips and the OS and everything. So it's good news that Google and Qualcomm have announced a program to offer up to 8 years of support for Android devices, starting with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. It'll still be up to manufacturers to push the upgrades, but they won't have Qualcomm to blame, at least in those cases.
French satellite company Eutelsat successfully tested the first 5G non-terrestrial network connection from space using Airbus's OneWeb satellites. This can provide low-cost cellular connections in remote areas, while T-Mobile has been working with Starlink on an LTE service.
Yeah, so this is the first 5G satellite connection where you could just get a 5G connection. That's pretty cool. uBlock Origin no longer works with Microsoft Edge Canary because Chromium no longer supports something called Manifest v2. That's been coming down the pipeline for a while. Chrome store extensions don't work, though Microsoft Edge store extensions still do. So if you get uBlock through the Edge store, at least for the moment, it still works. It's a long story, but basically it's because Manifest v2 is a way of listing sites for blocking ads that Google says is insecure. Ad blockers say, no, you're just trying to deprecate this to benefit your ad business. And Manifest v3 is the replacement, but it has limits on certain features. It's possible this change is just a bug in Edge, since Microsoft has not announced Manifest v3 support yet. So it'd be weird for them to kick out v2 and not have v3 yet. But it's going to come one day. And meanwhile, Mozilla took the opportunity to remind folks that Firefox continues to support Manifest v2.
The Financial Times sources say Amazon will spend about 35% of its 2025 CapEx budget on robots, not AI. The rest will likely go to AI, and certainly the robots will use some of that AI, but it's a larger chunk of money than many expected. Automation at a warehouse in Shreveport, Louisiana, cut costs there by 25%.
Yeah, I was trying to find how much of that, if any, was labor. Like, it could all just be efficiency, because everybody always wants to know, like, did it eliminate jobs or not? But I couldn't find any details on that. A couple of pieces of cross-platform news for you. Chrome now uses Google Password Manager to sync passkeys across platforms. That means on iOS, you can now log into an app using the Google Password Manager to access a passkey. So let's say you created the passkey in Chrome on Windows. You can now log into an app on iOS using that same passkey. And when creating a passkey in a standalone app on iOS, you can choose to sync it with either Google or iCloud now. And that way you could create the passkey on your iPhone and use it on Windows. You'll need to turn on the Chrome option in iOS settings under autofill and passwords. In general, go general settings, then look for autofill and passwords. Also, the other piece of cross-platform news, OpenAI has updated the ChatGPT app to include a Safari extension that will let you use ChatGPT as your default search engine in Safari.
I would like to currently express my condolences to everyone in my boat who will now be doing tech support for passkeys for their families.
This will actually make it easier to do that tech support, but yeah, it might also increase the use of the passkeys. So here you go.
Counterpoint estimates that smartwatch shipments in India dropped 30% on the year. Apple Watch shipments rose 141%, but that still only makes up 2% of the market. Counterpoint says users are moving to higher-end watches with more health features.
Yeah, so it's a big jump for Apple, but more of they're growing in a big way, and that's the direction that market's headed in. Those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper into some ongoing stories. We're going to do some follow-up.
Previously, we told you about the Casio watch, which is literally an old-style digital watch that you wear on your finger. The Verge's Victoria Song has been wearing it on her finger and took some time to explain why it's silly, but she loves it.
Victoria, thank you for joining us, and thank you for bringing your finger.
Oh, happy to be here, and so is my finger.
So I was surprised when you joined the call. You're still wearing it. Like, you really do like it.
Oh yeah, no, I genuinely love this little thing. It's in the photos in my review, it's on my index finger. That was just for the photos in the review. I actually wear it on my ring finger. It's most comfortable there. I just really love this little thing.
Yeah. So how does it feel? Is it way more? Is it?
It's if you've ever worn a statement ring of any kind, like a class ring or a signet ring, it's kind of similar feeling to that in the sense that it's quite top heavy on account of there being a little watch on there. So there is that. There is the fact that because of the way they've made it, which I think is with injection molding, it only comes in a size 10.5. I don't have size 10.5 fingers. I have to use one of the included spacers that come with it. So, is it the most comfortable ring I've ever had? I probably not, just because I have really lightweight rings that you can't even tell that you're wearing them. But as far as like a good statement ring, it's pretty good. I love a statement ring, so it's great.
Fantastic. It's not a smart watch per se, but it does have digital functions like a classic digital watch. What do you end up using it for? Just the watch features. Like, of course, I tested the other things because as a reviewer, you have to. So yes, it does work as a stopwatch, though for the life of me, I can't remember how to actually start the stopwatch, just because I always had that problem with the old Casio watches, remembering which button to press to put it into what mode. So, like in that sense, it's very much a Casio watch. If you too have had trouble remembering those functions, you probably will struggle like me. You can set a dual time zone. So if you want to know the time in two different places, you can. And you can set it as like this little alarm. There's a very tiny, useless backlight. And it's so tiny, like I don't think you could see it, but it's just so tiny, so useless. If you're in direct sunlight, won't help. If you're in the dark, also probably won't help you that much. It's not bright enough even in the dark.
It's real. I mean, you have to put it really close to your eye to see it, or I do because I have very bad eyesight, so it was hard for me to see it. So technically, not a smart watch, though it is kind of a smart ring because it's a ring that is a gadget. It's just not like I'm wearing the Oura ring on the same hand. It's nowhere near as advanced as the Oura ring. Right. It doesn't do anything like the Oura ring in terms of like tracking your health or monitoring your heart rate. So it's really just a ring that looks like a watch and functions like a watch.
But has the functions. Yeah. Because there have been rings that you could get like out of, vending machines that look like that, but they just didn't do anything. Yeah. Does it have the multiple buttons? I can't remember.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you do that when one of your hands is gone because the ring is on it?
Yeah, so these buttons, these are buttons for ants. These are tiny buttons. They work. You do press them, and like there's a little manual that comes with it that you just stare at, probably one time to set the time, and then you put it in a drawer and you go like, I'll look at it later, which is what I did. But yeah, there's these tiny little buttons. I have lost many a press-on nail using the buttons because they just come flying off. So it's not like perfect. There are sacrifices that come with wearing something like this, but it just brings me so much joy when I'm wearing it, and it is practical. Because it's been really cold. Anytime I wear a winter parka, I'm a wearables reviewer. I have 2 smartwatches on at any given point in time. But when I'm in my winter parka, it's the kind that has the thumb hole covering. So I actually can't pull out either of my wrists because also smartwatches are chunky. Can't pull out either of my wrists to look at the time. So I've been using this winter quite a bit just to check the time on my finger because I don't always want to pull out my phone. Because I have an older phone at this point, and if it's too cold outside, like it has been, it's gonna die. So I just like take a look at my ring for a little bit, and I go like, oh, I can see the time.
I can see.
Wearing a lot of sweaters in this season, so when I'm typing and I'm heads down and all my notifications are off and I'm about to miss a meeting, oh, look at the time, I can see it right there on my finger. So like it isn't completely useless. There are like several instances where I've been pleasantly surprised and like found it helpful to have a little watch on my ring. But it's so silly. It's the silliest thing I have at the moment, and I love it. So yeah.
If you had to recommend it for a type of person, who do you think this is for?
Definitely Casio fans, definitely anyone who is, looking at the state of Western democracy at the moment and feeling dread overwhelm them and wanting to feel a little bit of joy, or just, if you're someone who really enjoyed those vintage ring watches, if you enjoy fashion even, and you want something to like communicate to other people that you are not only fashion forward, but a bit of a gadget nerd, it's a great conversation starter in that case. I've had a bunch of people just come up to me, like friends, family, coworkers, complete strangers, just go like, oh my God, where did you get that? That is really cool. And you can have a little conversation with it. Have I started like propping my face up with my hand and just like showing it off a little bit when I talk to some of my friends? Of course. And you know what? It always works because they're always like, what is that? That is so cool. Like, that's great. I mean, I have a bunch of nerdy friends. So for us, a Casio watch ring is just like it reminds me of when you're in school and you're a kid and you see someone else had a Ninja Turtles watch and you're like, I love Ninja Turtles, and they go, I love Ninja Turtles too, and then you're just friends. It's kind of that sort of thing. It's really, I don't know, I felt so sentimental when I was writing it up, just thinking about all the conversations that had been sparked because I've had this ring, just how I feel wearing it, and like having other stylish people who I look up to say like, oh my God, that's so cool, and I'm like, oh, cool, because I'm not the most stylish person in my day-to-day life. But
apparently you are. Yeah.
Apparently I am when I wear this ring. It's sort of a really good example of how wearables and wearable technology isn't just about what the thing can do. It is a lot about the design and how it makes you feel and what it lets you express about yourself, which, we don't talk about that quite as much as like, here's a new feature and here's the cool stuff it does. So like, yeah.
Well, that's cool. And I would highly encourage everyone to go read your full write-up at The Verge. There's a couple of interesting things in there, reaffirming the fashionness of it, and also how it can help you not be rude. So if people want to follow you, where should they go?
So my handle is at VicMSong everywhere. You can find me on Blue Sky, on Mastodon, on, I guess I'm still on X and Instagram. So that's just my handle everywhere.
Cool. And we'll have a link to the article in our show notes at dailytechnewsshow.com. Thanks, Victoria.
Thanks for having me. And my ring.
We'll have a link to her full review in today's show notes.
And you can ask me for that link in our Discord, perhaps, if you can't find it in the show notes. If you want to join our Discord, all you got to do is link a Patreon account at patreon.com/DTNS.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Marty and Martin are helping us understand.
Yes, two different people, Marty and Martin. Let's start with Marty. Quick annotation that ChatGPT used to have the hybrid mode you were talking about with Claude 3.7, having the ability to toggle modes quickly. You used to be able to type /reason into the chat when talking to 4.0 to get it for that prompt only to switch over to 0.1. Not sure why they removed that feature, and it's not around for the 0.3 models, but it was really nifty. Excited to try Claude 3.7 out more, though, as it seems to be killing it in coding benchmarks and reviews so far. Thank you for that, Marty. I didn't realize that was there. Too bad it's too late for us to try it.
And Martin wrote, I was going to jokingly ask if the UK music artist had licensed 4-Minute 33 from John Cage's estate. Then I noticed that the Wikipedia page for 4-Minute 33 had a plagiarism section regarding a previous lawsuit, though this turned out to be a publicity stunt, so they are probably okay.
Thank you, Martin, for looking that up. Jason and I were making the same joke yesterday, so that's good. And big thanks to Victoria Song, Marty, and Martin for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for the Daily Tech News Show. It is made possible by our patrons, patreon.com/DTNS. There's also a live version, DTNS Live. That's on YouTube and Twitch. Find details about that and more at dailytechnewsshow.com. Talk to you tomorrow.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right, before you stop recording, Amos, do you want me to reread the one where I tripped over the GitHub repositories all over the place? Tom, how do you feel about it?
Let me see. It was the first line that you were...
Yeah, it was literally the first line. It was like, crap.
You said public in the wrong place. If it makes you feel better. I'm with Amos. I think it was okay. But if you want to have it be super clean.
Hey, again, it proves that we are human here.
Yeah. I don't think it got in the way of anyone understanding what you were saying.
Yeah, because I fixed it in all the other ways.
Yeah, you self-corrected really fast.
Okay. Cool. Just wanted to check before we turn that off.
All right. Any others? Okay, I'm going to stop recording then. Duh.